I'm on the banks of Johannesburg's longest river, the Braamfontein Spruit. And if you're not really impressed, that's kind of the point. You see, Johannesburg is the world's largest city that's not built on a major body of water. Our sources are tiny little streams that are scarce and precious, and we give them no respect at all. I mean, check this out. It's been a good rainy season, and as you can see, there's been an abundant blooming of our national flower. There's all sorts of... How's that? Now this water is only just beginning a journey of more than 1,800 kilometers. It rises in the grounds of a high school in Hillbrow, near the city centre of Johannesburg, and runs through a series of tunnels and canals until finally it comes to the surface and flows through most of the northern suburbs of Johannesburg, which is where we are now. And then up ahead it joins the Crocodile River and goes on its way to the Botswana border, where it merges with the Limpopo, and of course then it hangs a right-hand turn and curves round and soaks the people who are crossing between Zimbabwe and South Africa. Even further on, it might get sipped by a sable antelope in the Kruger National Park, and it'll eventually splash out into the Indian Ocean in Xai-Xai in Mozambique. I'm touching the Indian Ocean right here. Yuck. But the really amazing thing is not that it flows so far, it's that with all this junk in it, it manages to flow at all. Wait, see, what I've just done is exactly why I struggle to watch nature documentaries, because they are so damn depressing. It's always global catastrophe and extinction and doom and animated chipmunks singing crappy songs. Oh no, wait, that's actually the cartoon channels, but you get the idea. Nature channels have global catastrophe as well, and eventually I just sit there watching, feeling depressed, passive. There's got to be an antidote to just staring like a lump at the screen, spending my own money to finance my own panic attack. And there is. I'd like to introduce you to Chantal Natterville. She is determined to clean up our rivers, and so she organizes events like this once a month so that ordinary people like us can get involved and can actually make a difference.
Thank you very much. Nice to be with you under the trees.
Chantal, first question. You're here with a group of people. Who are you? Are you an organization? Are you an informal group? Who does this?
We're individuals, and there are some organizations. So I decided last year, after I went on an expedition to look at plastic, on an all-women's expedition and I landed up in the Caribbean. It is as polluted as this. There's nowhere on the planet that isn't. I came back, I had been doing my own cleans, and I thought I'm just going to put it out to the community and I hadn't been able to find other people in the community who were doing it, but we just hadn't connected. So this ratepayers, the Paulshof Ratepayers Association, have been doing, so I kind of connected with them. I've connected with an organization called ARMA, who are guardians of the rivers, and they are trying to get a network out into the whole of South Africa.
I have the utmost respect for the people who do this. This is slippery work. So we've been doing this for just over an hour now. I'm exhausted. It doesn't feel like we are getting anywhere. Can you give me an idea of the scale of the problem, okay? Talk dirty to me.
It's so very, very large and overwhelming, Al. I mean, let me try and put it into bag size for you. This particular stretch from here up to the bridge, let's call that 500 odd meters, if that. In September last year we had a deep clean, so we had a paid, unemployed paid people We pulled out, I think, 600 odd bags. It's huge. And then it just comes down again, and it comes down again, and it comes down again.
Oh, look, it's like a Christmas tree. Christmas in hell. So what can ordinary individual people do? How do we get involved, and how do we make a dent in this problem?
We need to lobby the places that we shop at, that they are not putting everything into plastic. You know, you don't need a perfectly nice fruit coated in plastic. It's got its own skin that's stopping all the elements. So we need to do that. And if we're courageous enough, I would really love people to take the plastic off what they are buying and to leave it at the till and say, thank you so very much, but I don't need that. Then our recycling, even though it is going to places, our places are getting full. So you can't just think that because you are recycling, you are not part of the problem. There are people who are dumping. We need to report dumping. We need to open our eyes to dumping. We need to use the places where we can officially go and put our old washing machines, which someone just pulled out, pieces of car, you know, all of those things. We need to take responsibility, Elle.
It's these tiny little fragments that really eventually end up in our food, because it ends up in the animals that are our food. So whatever fancy diet you're on this diet, sort of low carb, high petroleum. So I see you're holding something quite extraordinary there. It's a little doll, kind of, I don't know, bedraggled Barbie. But what's the most insane thing that you guys have ever pulled out of the river?
Yeah, I really love our little graduate Barbie today, Barbie. We have pulled out, today someone pulled out a washing machine and a car bumper. Previously we have pulled out a trolley, and in the trolley was a car sump. And inside the car sump were some crabs who had made a little home, so that was a bit sad, and we hoped that they rehomed themselves. We found vacuum cleaners, pipes, lots of strings. Someone pulled out a 6-meter garden hose today. Lots of clothing. I don't know, there's a whole lot of naked people in the city, but there is a lot of clothing in this river. It is so scary. And if you have a look over there, you can see people's Tupperware and lunch, and you know, I mean, there's just stuff.
So final question, are there any companies that are really coming to the party? Are there groups that are helping out? Would you like to give a shout out to anybody?
The local security companies in the area are astonishing. They have been beyond generous. Aries, 7 Arrows / Fidelity ADT, Secureza, National, Netcare 911, ER24 have helped us before, Green Thumb Hydroponics, Rawson's, and of course the Ratepayers Association.
Shanti, I'm in awe of what you folks do. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming and highlighting what's going on.
This is a small group of committed, indomitable, crazy people who are determined to make a difference, one chip packet at a time. And today there are only about 15 of them here, and they're trying to clean up after 10 million people. They're outnumbered about 700,000 to 1, and yet they're cheerful. You know, 15 versus 10 million, and today it feels like an even match. These guys are really making a difference. I chose this episode because I admire a friend who refuses to give up, and the story kind of meandered like a river that creates itself as it flows. And you know, the funny thing is, the river's us. Perhaps you rise in the squalor of the inner city and you go underground like a secret till you settle for a while in a posh suburb. But we have no real control over the way that life moves us restlessly along. You might think of yourself as South African one day, and the next day you're a citizen of a whole other country. You might partake of exquisite beauty, or you could exit through the arse end of a giraffe. And maybe all that we can actually rely on is that in the end, when we eventually wash out into that big beyond and meet a power that's much greater than us, we'll be utterly changed and still exactly the same. Thanks for joining me on this trip down the river. If you've enjoyed this episode of Just Off the Highway, please click like, subscribe, leave us a comment. And until next time, I'll see you somewhere just off the highway.